with a disability, particularly being in a wheelchair, led me to have quite an isolated childhood, and as such, comic books, movies, and TV shows became a big part of my life, and were probably part of the reason that I became a writer. In the stories I enjoyed as a child and still do today, there aren't many people with profound disabilities like mine. Sure, there are a few mainstream characters with disabilities, such as Charles Xavier of the X-Men, Barbara Gordon or Oracle from the Batman mythology, and Marvel's Daredevil. However, none of these characters were disabled from birth, like me. They were disabled as a result of their adventures going wrong, or as part of their origin stories. And the truth is, I don't actually see a problem with that, because like I said in a previous video, the disabled are a minority within society. And besides, what is it that we seek stories for? Humans seek stories because we want to see characters who are able to do more and be more than we can in real life. Because frankly, real life is hard, and sometimes we need an escape. This brings me to the main subject of today's video, which is how forced diversity and representation can do real harm to entertainment when it's not done right. Lately, with a lot of mainstream media, we've seen Hollywood attempt to pander to the political agenda of a certain group of people who actually don't represent the average person, but are a very loud minority. The problem with that is when you try and force diversity, or you co-opt a well-loved story, it's pretty obvious, and it does not work well. For examples of that, you need only look at the attempted reboot of Ghostbusters with an all-female cast, and everyone knows how well that went. Now, feminists will argue that when people are critical of something that is quote-unquote diverse, it's simply because they are racist or misogynist or any kind of other buzzword they can think of to use. But the truth is actually more complicated than that. These stories, whether in comics or film, if you take them and you attempt to twist them to suit your own political agenda, fans of the stories are going to notice and speak out, which, as we saw, happened quite viciously. And I believe that diversity is actually important, but it needs to be done right. And if you're going to tell a story with a mix of different identities within it, that's great. But they have to make sense within their given universe. Now, there are places where an injection of diversity does actually work. For example, look at when Samuel L. Jackson plays Nick Fury in the Marvel movies. Nick Fury was originally a white guy, but because of the skill Samuel L. Jackson has as a performer, that switch does not seem unnatural. For another example, look at Lawrence Fishburne, who plays Perry White in the latest Superman franchise. that again, because of the gravity of his personal skill, it works well and doesn't seem forced. I also believe that there is a case to be made for better casting in movies. One of the silliest things I ever saw was a film called Gods of Egypt, which, as the title suggests, tells the story of a battle between Egyptian deities. Now, on its face, that seems like a great idea. But the problem was, both the main villain and the main hero were played by white actors. Now, it just seems unlikely to me that in all of Hollywood, no one could be found to play those roles as people of color. So yes, I stand for diversity in film. But as I said, it's got to make sense with the story, otherwise I'm not interested. Then we have the issue of representation. People complaining that it's unfair and that superheroes give women, well, let's be honest, it's mostly women who complain about this. They complain that superheroes give women unrealistic body standards. Here's the thing about that though. If Wonder Woman were 400 pounds and just covered in rolls of fat, she wouldn't be a very believable superhero, would she? It all goes back to what I said earlier. We seek stories to be entertained and to reach beyond what's possible in the real world. So if you need a character in a movie to validate who you are as a person, then I would suggest that you have some real soul searching to do in your life. As always, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And if you disagree and you want to tell me I'm an absolute idiot, feel free to do so in the comments down below.